Welcome to the training, everyone. Super excited that you can all join us. Presentation is called Launch Your Student's Life. What we're going to talk about is the outcome of getting your kids to their dream job and helping them achieve self-reliance. We live in a very competitive world, and it's never been a better time to learn how to help your kids get off to the right foot in life and how to be successful. So let's jump right in. Who this is for any parents who have kids in high school, college, or are recent graduates. Generally, if that age range matches up with where your kids are at, that's great. If you're someone else who has found interest in this, feel free to stay on. But generally, this is designed for parents looking to, help get their kids off to the right foot in life and help them achieve not only their dream job, but self-reliance throughout life. Obviously, the earlier the kids get started, the better it will be for them. Really requires ambitious parents and ambitious students to be successful. We all have information. Obviously, what we're looking for in life is more of a transformation. So the principles I share are designed with that in mind. So in the next 60 minutes, take a look at this. This is what we're going to be talking about. Some of the things that I hope will be very useful, practical, and very interesting to you. Take a look at a few more of these bullet points to see what we're going to be talking about throughout this presentation. So again, the point is really helping them design a path that leads to really high fulfillment, a really good pay, and overall just, very satisfied with the quality of their life. For those of you who may be self-made or maybe successes in your own right, this presentation is going to help you make sure that your kids don't become dependent or super reliant on you. I know everyone really wants to see their kids succeed of their own accord and pursue really what makes them feel most alive. So we're gonna have all these conversations, and we're gonna learn how to do all those things that were just mentioned without your student having to rely on resumes, cover letters, and doing things that they really don't like and don't need. For example, getting a job just to put it on their resume, even though they hate the work or they will never find it fulfilling. We'll talk about strategies, how they can still get relevant experience and still accelerate their success in career and life so that they'll be both self-reliant and happy along the way. My promise to you, if you stick around, I hope these are things that pique your interest. If not, feel free to jump off now, but this is a step-by-step strategy to help your student land their dream job and become self-reliant. Those are the ultimate outcomes that I want for you and for your students. There's nothing for sale here. I do have a very cool free opportunity for you at the end of this presentation if you stick around. Love providing additional value, additional free gifts, if you will, to those who stay with me here, and obviously I'm going to earn that through the information here that we're sharing. Read through these couple bullet points for me, and ask yourself: does this sound like your situation, or does this sound like sentiments that resonate with you? There's a couple more here I want you to read. So now that you've read these, I want to tell you a quick story. Went home to visit my family about a month and a half ago, and I talked to my dad a lot about really helping young people and emerging adults really get off to the right start in life, really how to accelerate their success and not get stuck. But the story was a young woman. She's in her 20s, and you know, she found herself handing out tickets to a musical performance on a volunteer basis. I asked, does she have a job? What is she doing? And my dad mentioned, she can't find anything. She's not employed. Um, she has a boyfriend who she's hoping, may end up marrying her and taking care of her. But, this is a situation that many young people are in. Many have family resources to where, they're still pretty well off, but, they're being more and more influenced by entitlement attitudes and attitudes of dependency, things that will really cripple them in life when they come up and are faced with other challenges. Again, we really want to direct them to self-reliance. So it's a big problem in the world. Read a Harvard Business Review article the other day as well that said 2/3 of students fail to, launch their career. They have a real hard time doing it. And the reality of the world that we live in is there is so much student debt, so many options, so much information, and there's just a little information on how to bridge that gap between, okay, here's my education, and the bridge to gainful, professional, and fulfilling employment. 40 to 50% of all students are underemployed. That's give or take. Obviously, statistics are written by people, but suffice it to say that a huge chunk of the emerging adult population, they're underemployed if they're employed at all, and that means really they got a degree which really wasn't needed for the job they're currently doing. Now, if you get education, if you spend thousands of dollars on an education, upwards of $20,000 to $30,000 per year, not including all the living expenses, don't you think that the return on that degree should be more, translatable into some practical outcome? There are many benefits of college, and we'll get into this, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of the issues your kids are walking into. If you have all the money in the world for your kids and can support any dream they have, is that something you really want to do? How are you fostering an attitude of self-reliance in your kids? How can you make sure they become self-made people? How much of the attitude or the situations that students are going to end up in will lead to depression, or situations where their outcome and their perspectives and mindset on life are really framed in the wrong way. And for most people, this question, do you feel like there's an invisible wall holding your student back from greatness? It may sound cliche, but it really isn't that. Like I say, it's really a paper thin wall that's holding them back. They just need some information, a strategy, some proven approaches to doing well and getting off to a great start in life. The big problem here is you haven't helped them make the shifts they need to make to be successful. And it's not your fault. I'm not blaming anyone. I've had these similar challenges myself. No one taught me. I had to patch information together from my experiences, from my work, from my education, and say, really, how does this fit together? Why doesn't this type of curriculum already exist? For example, career centers. Most students say that they go to a career center, they get to talk to a counselor for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and really they haven't got a whole lot of value from the interaction. They may get a few ideas, but the reality is they're telling you how to do your resume. They're telling you how to do your cover letter. They're trying to equip you with some basic job skills, but it's a big problem. They're not equipping you to bridge that gap between actual education and a meaningful career. So we're going to talk about the shifts your student needs to understand, and when they do, things are really going to open up for them. They will become masters of their own destiny. They will be able to get married, have a family, and pursue their dreams. This might be starting a business, How many of us want to start a side business and be that success story? Can we do that if we're super burdened with debt to the range of $30,000 plus dollars? That's an average college debt for all students. It's very hard. You can still do it. It's very hard to do. Very taxing, depressing mentally to have that on your shoulders. Your students are also going to feel energy to contribute to a better world through their most energized work. It's very hard to find in-demand work that is fulfilling and that pays very well. We're going to teach you how to do that so you can translate these things down to your kids. Once your student really embraces and internalizes these principles, again, you will realize that the wall that separates your student from greatness is very thin. It's a mindset thing. It's a system. It's a strategy thing. You don't have the right way to implement the information and have someone to be accountable to help you do that. What you're going to see with your child is they're going to create some great memories, great relationships, great work experiences that catapult them into a self-reliant future. You're going to do all this while tapping back into the joy you've always had when you think, hey, where are my kids going to end up? What's life going to look like for them? Am I doing all that I can to give them the brightest and best opportunities in life? Knowing what you know now as parents, aren't there a few things you wish you would have done differently? Experience is a great teacher, and many of us, unfortunately, we have a hard time learning from those who've gone before us. But there are many strategies that I can help get your student motivated and accountable and get them inspired by new ideas to get on track, to launch their lives into something great. The big things you need to know here are there are 5 simple shifts that you need to make to help your kids break through their invisible walls, to achieve their dream job and become self-reliant, and ultimately be happy, enjoy a family life, or enjoy whatever lifestyle they've dreamt about as they've grown up, as they've pursued their own lives. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make those shifts today. And you're going to take those back and teach those and help your students internalize those. Who am I? Who am I to be talking to you, right? What do I have to show for myself? I was an academic all-star through my education. Some might say, hey, the perfect student or the stereotypical student. I was a 4.0 student in high school. I got a 3.79 in college, had zero debt. Even though I changed paths multiple times, I was as clueless as anyone when I went to college of the reality on how to bridge education into the real world. No one really ever talked to me about it. No one ever really discussed. My parents, I asked them more than a few times, but it didn't seem that they quite knew where to direct me with so many changes in the economy and so many new advances in technology. But I made my way. I patched things together and discovered a great strategy to help your students succeed. Started a couple of businesses in college, won thousands of dollars in awards, and landed jobs with 2 of the best companies in my state, some of which garner national attention and even worldwide attention and customers. So I've been through it. I've had the successes. I've been through the challenges. And I'm not, I think it's valuable that I'm not really at the end cycle of my career. I didn't get raised in the situation of kind of what we'll talk about as what careers used to look like. From the modern generation, the millennial generation, and I really know what it takes to succeed in this day and age. Now I spend my time helping students like yours land their dream jobs and achieve self-reliance. We spend a third of our lives at our jobs, most of us, and it had better darn well make us happy, make us some money, and allow us to provide a contribution we can feel really good about in society. Ultimately, that waters down to self-reliance for your children. Yes, you want them to be happy. Yes, you want them to be successful. Yes, you want them to get their dream job. But the framework of what we're going to teach you is really going to help them launch into self-reliance. So let's jump into these 5 shifts. What are they? What's the secret sauce, Andy? Right? Alrighty. 5 key shifts to get to that outcome. Let's get right to them. Number 1, design a hybrid education. College is a great source of education. I don't want to bash college, but people are beginning to question more than ever the value of a degree. At $10,000, $20,000 a year on a conservative estimate, outside of all the other living costs, that is, $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 if you finish in 4 years. Most don't finish in 4 years. The vast majority take a year or 2 longer. So you're looking at $80,000 to $100,000 for, let's say a bachelor's degree. Now, most of us, when we make that large of a purchase, we're thinking in terms of what is the return? What am I going to get? How am I going to maximize the value? There are many intangibles with college as far as the benefits go, but the new world requires you and your students to own your education, to take responsibility for it. Education is a personal responsibility. You cannot outsource your education to college, meaning that, I'll send my kid to college and that will be the channel by which they get the job and achieve self-reliance and spur them into adulthood and marriage and buying a house. Wrong. If they rely on college, they may end up living back at home with you, feeling less than confident to propose or find a spouse, feeling depressed, feeling lack of value in their life because they're not achieving the things they want to achieve. But we're going to talk about some of the new educational vehicles and self-directed learning strategies that you can use with or without college. You can be successful either way, but designing a hybrid education is vital, and taking that responsibility is the vital first step to being successful. Now, you need to research and evaluate the benefits of the following in addition to college. These are some things I recommend you look at. It takes simple Google searches to do this, and I'll recommend some resources as well. So outside of college, what are the other sources of education you should be looking at for your children? Well, number 1, boot camps. I know many individuals who have gone to 3 to 4 to 6 month boot camps. These may be technology, software related, coding related, user experience design related, but they are designed to get students marketable skills that are required by industry, meaning employers out there actually need certain skills and they're lacking them in the workplace. So boot camps have popped up as quick educational vehicles to get students there in a hurry. Now these are beneficial because I've seen students who have $10, $12 an hour jobs who jump to $40,000, $50,000 jobs after they do these boot camps. And it's because there are certain skills in the workplace that create revenue, so big bucks for companies. And without these skilled personnel, obviously that they're taking a hit. And there's a term called the skills gap out in industry. And boot camps are helping solve some of these things. So in designing your educational strategy, you have to think, do you want your kid to go to a tech boot camp before maybe the summer after or after high school, or perhaps while they're in college, or perhaps take a semester off to do it. To get them a skill where they can start getting paid, maybe work a part-time job that gets paid really decently, that will allow them to pay for the remainder of their college. There are lots of ways to design your path. Some of them, include working before college. Some of them include vocational or that boot camp training before college. Some include while they do college. Think about your situation. Think about your goals and what's best for your student so they can design the thing that's best for them. Another thing to remember when designing your education is going to be picking in-demand work that is highly profitable. Now, most people I know will make an early on mistake in their careers of just choosing something for money. I want to be a doctor because that makes the most money. Or maybe they are altruistic and they really want to do it because they love it. But in the end, many people find out this isn't really what I wanted to do. This isn't really what I love. How can we make sure they avoid those mistakes and those years of effort into really streamlining what they're really most passionate about? So it takes a lot of discovery. It takes time talking to people, narrowing down their interests, and we'll get into these things with how to avoid those types of situations. And reverse engineering the process. A lot of people don't do simple things like look at job boards, look at doing informational interviews with businesses to find out, hey, what are the most valuable skills? Then you can start to put together, what do I like? What will provide me a good lifestyle? And what will provide me enough compensation so that I'll be happy in my life and be working on things that excite me? So again, in designing your hybrid education, the 3 pillars of what I call the career triangle, and others have called it by that term as well, is to design work for fulfillment, lifestyle, and compensation. Make sure whatever your kids are looking at, that those 3 things are met. Otherwise, they may end up saying, hey, I'm going to discover my passion, and they end up with no real skills. At a minimum, have them pursue their passion, whatever that may be, but have them learn skills that satisfy these 3 criteria of, they're fulfilled. They don't hate what they're doing. They actually like it. That provides a good lifestyle. They don't have to work on the weekends as they start to get into adulthood, and on Saturdays they can spend time with their kids. And compensation. You need enough money not to be stressed about the bills in life. So we're going to teach you how to identify those things. One great website is bls.gov. It shows a lot of information on wage data. There are many other websites. Just do online research. Find out where the skills gaps are. Find out what is in demand and what is not. Examples are like software coding, software development, really a bunch of jobs with computers, anything IT related. There are many healthcare professions which are very good that really go unnoticed for many years in life simply because you didn't know about them or you didn't discover them until now. So go on that website. They'll have some tools there and resources for you to look at things. I recommend you pick 3 to 5 things that really interest you career-wise, and a few marketable skills that you could use to earn money and support yourself through school if you're wanting your student to do that, or that's a necessity. Also use job boards and networking. I already mentioned that, but go on a site like Indeed.com. Type in if you're wanting your kid to get a business degree, or that's what they want. Make sure they understand what jobs are available in business. It's not just you're going to be a strategy manager or a CEO and it sounds exciting and that's what you read in your case studies, so that's what it's going to be. More than likely, you're going to start in entry-level sales, customer support, or customer experience of some sort. But if you want those great jobs, you can get them. You just have to learn more about what is required, some of those job descriptions, and if you use those things as you're planning your education and developing it, you can design a college degree that is way more valuable. It will take way less time, and ultimately you're going to end up saving thousands of dollars and years of your student's life by doing those simple things. The next shift, number 2, is your concept of a career is going extinct. I know that may be hard because, you as parents may have lived through that entire age of kind of what a traditional career looked like. And now we're entering an age where, holy cow, what the heck is going on? I am not a digital native. I do not know what to tell my kids. I do not know the implications for my children and their futures. 50% of all high schoolers really don't even have any idea what they want to do with their life. Another 25-30% say they chose based on a movie they liked or something in the pop culture setting that they're raised. That is scary to me, because that will lead in many instances to really rough and sketchy places. Some, will find their way through it, but you really need to be careful there. So going along, traditional education is nowhere equipped to keep up with the rapid pace of change in the world. How long do you think it takes for curriculum to get approved by a college? And how fast does the world change? The market changes faster than that. There are definite benefits to college. Your student may meet their spouse. They may make great connections. There's a whole host of things. But relying on traditional education alone to take care of your student's self-reliance, the job, the success after college, is a big mistake. What they'll end up with is debt, perhaps a miserable job that they have to take so they can keep up with payments because the loans are not forgivable. And essentially, they're an indentured servant for a good portion of their life. Who wants that? So what's the new breed of careers look like? And why am I saying everyone is now an entrepreneur? So no one can predict what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. We can see trends. We can guess as to what that will mean. But the world has shown us that more than ever today, careers are less a long-term thing and more numbers of jobs in a person's career than ever before. The rise of freelancers is amazing. Go on sites like Upwork.com and just look at some of their data. Fiverr.com. Look how many thousands of people are on these sites around the world competing for those jobs. Businesses really don't care. If they can get quality work from a different country, they're going to get it if it's cheaper. And how does your student place themselves to stand out? How do you combat software, automation, technology tools, reducing the need for employees? There are new opportunities popping up that have risen out of those trends, and there are some that will not ever come back. And if you don't adapt, your student will be in a desperate situation. Again, we don't want them living paycheck to paycheck. We don't want them feeling depressed. We don't want them feeling useless. They can provide value if they have the right approach and the right way forward. So what they need marketable skills. Marketable skills are greater than degrees in the new economy. Degrees are also great. Pair degrees with marketable skills. College and not going to college doesn't have to be an absolute. You don't have to engage in that conversation of college is evil and is the biggest scam on earth versus the other opposing view. There is value, and there are good ways and right ways to go about it, and there are economical ways to go about it to make it to maximize the success of both learning institutions and educational opportunities. One of the big problems that people run into that do go the traditional route, they get the degree, they go through it all, is a lack of marketable skills after college. And again, people are coming home. You can expect your student to come home, and you can expect to pay anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 to help support them during that time. And you can't expect them to feel emotionally damaged, to feel depressed, to feel all of these negative emotions because they're just not getting launched to where they need to be in life. They don't really know how to do it. They're struggling and they're relying on you to save them. This is the new world. People have to be entrepreneurial. They have to know how to learn, how to acquire that knowledge, how to find the skills that are in demand. And they have to have the right mindset and proactive spirit to do it. So how careers used to be. Get hired, get a job, work your way up. Maybe after 34 years, you're in the place you want to be, you can retire. Get your pension and your benefits and all that. How does things work now? Technology has disrupted entire industries. Industries like Uber and Airbnb. Uber replaced taxis for the most part, and Airbnb is a huge business alternative to hotels, and really traveling is made traveling much cheaper and much more accessible to many people. Now, good and bad things come from both of those things, but the reality you have to face here is that change is inevitable. Technology will adapt. Technology will create automation. How is your student using education to make sure that trend is beneficial to them and to their lives and to their happiness? To win, they need to systematize the acquisition of knowledge. So the skill of learning, to knowing where to learn, to knowing the best teachers to learn from, the best courses to do, the best ways to showcase your abilities and communicate the value. That's what it's all about nowadays. So what do you need to do? What are the takeaways here? So first, make sure your student is creating a unique pathway. Create that hybrid education. Make sure education is a responsibility for you and your student, not to outsource it to anyone else. It's your job. It's up to you. Connect a degree to reality. I got a business degree. I had no idea what that connected to in terms of real life work. I was just, I like business. I had all these ideas of what it was and wasn't. I had no idea how to prepare myself for the real good career type jobs that I would really love. I could have harnessed and done so many things differently to make my experience less painful and frustrating. But everything in hindsight, right? But your kids, they have that opportunity to do the things they need to do right now to maximize it. And what can they do? They can reverse engineer the process, get on job boards, find out what are the roles, what are the titles that are being used. If I want a marketing degree, am I going to master the skill of PPC, SEO, email marketing while I'm in college? Because every other graduate, they'll have a general marketing degree, but your student, when they've paired that with other things, they'll be rocking the boat far, far more than other candidates, and they'll get the jobs. Another thing they need to do is informational interviewing. Find out from people that are actually in businesses, what are the challenges, what are the problems, what are the good opportunities, what includes the things we mentioned in the career triangle. And ultimately, never stop learning. Again, new things are going to be popping up like crazy. New industries, new jobs. How many people thought they could be an app developer in this day and age 30 years ago? There was no such thing. Technology was just in its infancy, and there will be many things now that are in their infancy that will take off. So never stop learning. Learn how to learn. Create that unique pathway. Connect things to a degree. What that's going to do is it's going to save you over $10,000. And the reason I put that number is 1 year of college is $10,000 to $20,000, and most students change paths multiple times. And an extra year or 2 years of college, that's going to cost you dearly. An extra 6 months to a year of not getting a good job, how much is that going to cost you in opportunity cost? Or probably much, much more than the 10 grand I mentioned. So here's an example. Cameron, my cousin actually married Cameron, and I learned about him. He has a fascinating story. He's a video marketing strategist. While he was in college, he decided that YouTube was a big deal, and companies wanted really intriguing videos to spur sales. And what he did was created a viral YouTube marketing company that basically works with brands to create viral videos. Obviously, tons of people get to see the video, more sales to their company. So bottom line, he helped create revenue for other companies through videos. Now he's able to work with some of the most prolific YouTubers and celebrities around the world. He's had many awesome videos and continues to do great things, but he lives life on his own terms now. And he gets to do so because he designed his own education. He took responsibility, and it was his own, really it was up to him to make it happen. And he did. And he found value in college, he found value in education, and he used those to his advantage. The third shift is as old as time itself, building authentic relationships. We all like to associate with people we like, people we trust. Why do we have the friends we do? Why do businesses do business with the people they do? It's because they like and they trust these people. Now, how does your student go about building authentic relationships? So, first off, this is going to be your student's 80-20 advantage. 80% of all jobs are acquired by referral today. So what that means is someone's posting on Facebook, hey, I'm looking for someone to do XYZ. Does anyone know of someone who's good at this? It's rarely on a job board. If it is, you're competing with thousands of people. I call that the crowded bottom. You want to avoid that. You want to get access to the hidden job market for your kids so they get the best opportunities. Part of this will mean that they have to master communication. That means emails, phone calls, how to present yourself in person, how to present yourself in front of a group. So whatever we'll go into some things they can do to get ahead of these skills that they need to master in order to be successful at building relationships. And some online and offline tools I'll give you. So in order to build the right relationships, number one, have your student ask for help. There's a story of Steve Jobs when he was a teenager asking, I believe it was a executive or someone higher up at Hewlett Packard for help. And he said yes. He got a lot of mentorship. How many of us don't even ask or don't even encourage our kids to ask or help them identify the people that line up with what your student is really energized and excited by? Let's start doing this. Start reaching out to one person a week, even if it's just one. One person a week can make a huge difference. Now, not everyone's going to say yes. The vast majority will say no. How valuable is it for your kids to go through failure and rejection early on so they have a perspective to keep on going, get up, and face the challenges and work through them? We need more problem solvers in the world and people that don't easily give up. Make sure they understand that lesson. Third, become a servant leader. Start doing things for people before asking them for handouts or, I call it the Facebook beggar when people are like, I need this, or the sob story of I don't have a job, I need help me. And there's no specifics. There's no what have you done? What are you trying to do? Who are you trying to reach? There are some tactics. I'm not discounting these people that are in sensitive situations, but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about communicating with people in order for you and your children to have success. Now, in addition to what I've said, here's some takeaway points for you. Use social media, especially LinkedIn. If they don't have an account, help them sign up for an account. There's a million articles on how to do it. Get them on LinkedIn. Learn a little bit about how to leverage LinkedIn for success. Again, a million articles on how to do that. Have them attend events that are relevant with what they want to do. They're going to meet people. And people are going to be impressed that a young person will be attending so many different events and getting to know so many different people. Learn about the needs and challenges of the people that your student meets so that they can learn how to serve them. By serving them, they'll create great references, great ambassadors for their own life. So they get in what they'll put out early on. So again, all these methods, social media, LinkedIn, attending events, doing interviews, the last one, connecting people. If they have a friend who wants to do social media as a career, for example, and you know someone who's really good at it, make an introduction. You will be so appreciated, and the value will come back to you in your life tenfold if you make that a practice. Do that once a week with your student. Say, who can we help connect? Who has a goal? Who has an objective in life where they're trying to get that we can help? And where that person on the other end will also be glad to help and may even get some business out of it. That will be a huge benefit to you creating authentic relationships. Another thing with social media, on Facebook, there are now Facebook groups. And if you search Facebook, you can search by, select the tab for groups. And it will say, it will have a whole host of groups around a variety of topics. You can start chatting with people immediately in 5-10 minutes. Use social media to your advantage, but use real life interaction to your advantage as well. And get after it, start hustling. At least make a few interactions a week with your student. So quick recap. We know that we must make designing a hybrid education a priority. Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody's going to magically choose us for the amazing job or for the amazing life. We have to design it. We have to create it. It starts with designing a hybrid education. Understanding the dynamic of a new career frontier means, again, careers are not what they used to be. So let's prepare for it. Let's harness the power of the future and the opportunities ahead to build an amazing life. And what we just went over, building authentic relationships to ensure your student's success. Most jobs people get, it's, I knew so-and-so, I had the skills, so that's how I landed my job. Or I got married because my friends set me up. Relationships are powerful. Some of the most powerful things in the world, and some of the things which most affect our happiness. Our social circle and our most intimate relationships are the biggest factors on our happiness in life. So make sure that you focus on those things and make them a priority, because it's going to affect every part of your student's life. All right, let's jump into the last couple shifts. Show, don't tell. So building authentic relationships is simply not enough. If I just do networking and I don't have the ability to show them why I'm valuable, if it's a hiring manager or otherwise, or a project or something I'm applying to, there are ways to streamline your success that far fewer people do than the majority. So I'm going to call this the 80% upfront method, which is do a bunch of the work up front before you make your application to a school, a job, anything you're wanting in life. And you will be far more successful than everyone else. And we'll also learn about a little bit how they can communicate the value that they're creating in the process of showing people and not just telling them. So what does this mean? Well, in terms of getting a dream job, it could mean, you discover the job on some place online that you're searching, and you're spending hours editing your resume, perfecting your cover letter, practicing your interview questions, and you're hoping that you get chosen or selected. Or you rely on a connection to get you the job, and you pretty much leave it at that. You do all the other things and you have a connection. Great. Well, guess what? Your student probably still going to end up coming home to live with you if they don't do more than that. They're still going to be in a rough situation, paycheck to paycheck. They're still going to have that debt. If they don't have a better, higher paying job to get those expenses paid off and plan for the other major events of life, there's not going to be a house. There's going to be fewer kids. There's going to be more stress. Let's get away from those things. Let's design an amazing future for your students. So the new way, let's uncover the real challenges before we apply or submit ourselves to some opportunity. Let's create upfront value and communicate that value. Does this make any sense? Yeah, I'll get a, I'll go back over my resume and adapt it a little bit. It looks pretty good. Oh, I hope I get the position. Yeah, mom, dad, I applied, sent my resume in to 20 different places. Hope to hear back. It's not it, folks. That's not it. We need to get feedback, build trust. So some of the methods I talked about with building authentic relationships, that needs to happen. If that doesn't happen and you just go beyond it, sorry. You might get lucky, but don't count on it. First of all, go through, build those authentic relationships. If you're applying for your dream job, you need to know, what are the problems? That company has a job application for a reason. They have a problem. They want it solved. They want someone awesome to solve it. They want that person to be someone that fits with their culture and someone they like. So what can you do? You can do those strategies to build the relationships with the right people, whether that's the hiring manager or someone else. Create something of value for the right people. This may be in terms of volunteering, doing some projects. We'll get into that here in the next slides. And ultimately, beyond a referral, they're going to know you can do the work. They're going to know you're proactive. They're going to know your personality. And you're going to have a much better chance of landing that job. So let's briefly show you one. I have it pulled up here. Nina, she is awesome. She wanted to work for Airbnb, and there are thousands of applicants because it's a very popular company. And basically what she said is, screw the traditional application process. I'm going to find out how to help Airbnb's business, do my own research, communicate the value of what I've done, and showcase that rather than hoping I get selected based on my resume. And basically what she did is she showed them what opportunities they could go after that they're not currently doing. Told them why that matters, how they could get started, how they can move into that market, what partner opportunities they have. Amazing, right? Anyone can do this if they put in the work, but most people, they don't want to put in the work. She got a lot of great results. You can go to this site, nina4airbnb.com, and use it as an example of what show, not tell really means. You can apply this to more than just a dream job. You can apply this to anything. If people really see, wow, he's gone above and beyond up front, they're going to be so impressed. You're going to have a far better chance than anyone else you're competing with. So show, don't tell. You can use 3 methods, or 3 common methods that I like to encourage is personal projects, volunteer and freelance work, and pre-interview projects. So personal projects, this might be a blog. If your student wants to be involved with writing as a career and they've discovered content writing is a viable path, why not start a blog and actually be the candidate who says, I have a blog with 1,000 readers? How much better is that than someone who says, I want to do writing and I'm super passionate and I work hard? Do volunteer and freelance work. Build your relationship capital. Source out those opportunities. Who's doing really cool work that you want to work for? What can you do to benefit them? Find out what their needs are, what their problems are, what holes, what would be really helpful or really cool for them, but they just haven't had time for. Do that for them in exchange for a great reference, in exchange for them leveraging their own network for you. What you put in is what your student will get out. And pre-interview projects. Again, Nina, she showed so many opportunities for growth. That is a perfect example. Don't just go in and give them your resume and cover letter and say, stereotypical responses to interview questions. Be like, why, when they ask, why should we choose you for the job, you should pull out, a couple of papers and say, well, I did the research. I found some business opportunities for your company. I would love to make those introductions for you. They'll be blown away. How many people do that? Very, very few. Teach your students to do 80% of the work up front. in whatever they're doing and be able to translate that to the right people in the appropriate way, and they'll be on their way to much success. The last shift is to invest in mentoring. Everyone gets stuck. You may be like, well, how do I apply this? How do I get it all together? I get it. Everyone gets stuck. I've got stuck in so many instances in my life. This past year, I spent over $10,000 on personal development out of my own pocket to learn how to do exactly what I'm telling you and your students to do. Why did I do this? Well, I need new ideas. I need accountability. I need a group as well that will challenge me, that will help me stay motivated, that will get me to where I want to be in life. I don't make a lot of money. $10,000 is an insane amount of money for someone. Why would I spend that much money on personal development? Well, I know that I am the best investment in my future. You should make your students have that same belief. You should have that same belief for your students and for your kids. They are the best investment. Invest in them. They need to invest in mentoring to help them along the way. The old school days, there was apprentices. This is the same as mentors in our day and age. May not be the same dynamic, but the same rings true. If you work with a master, someone who's done certain things and has received certain results, then you will be much, much better off. So essentially, a good mentor gives you great ideas, make sure you act on them, and also, what separates that from a great mentor? Great mentor puts together a powerful group of people all working towards similar goals. Again, going back to motivation, standing together, working through challenges. It's awesome to be a part of a like-minded group that's also struggling with the same things you struggle with and seeing each other succeed. So today I promised a step-by-step strategy to help your student land their dream job and become self-reliant. I know we've talked about a lot, and there's a lot to implement, and you might be asking, well, how and why, and so on and so forth. But I hope some of the principles, these principles that we've gone over, will help you and your student win. I know they will. Without them, and without someone to, without any channel to help you do this, you have why is there no change? We have the career centers, we have the counselors, we have awesome parents like you, we have motivated students, but there's still a huge gap between, getting them to a self-reliant state in something they love and, the education they need to get there. Career centers aren't going to do it for you. Counselors aren't going to do it for you. You're not going to do it for yourself without any outside help. It's hard. That's why I pay the big bucks to invest in myself. But do these things for them. Embrace these principles. If they do these 5 steps, 5 shifts, that alone is really enough to propel them to a self-reliant future and a dream job. They'll be far better than most of the hordes of people following the status quo. Now, we always have a choice in life whether we take information and we act on it or we don't. Again, information is useless without action. We all want transformation in our lives. We want to transform into the people, into the successes we see for ourselves. And that takes incredible effort, a really powerful mindset that can break through challenges, and a bias toward taking massive action on your goals and your students' goals. So how can I help? I've gone through this to hopefully set you guys on a path to help your kids in their lives to live more fulfilling and happier lives, get their dream jobs, get that self-reliance. But I've gone ahead and set aside some time in the next week to speak to some of you personally about how you can apply these ideas to your child's life, to your student's life. And it is free. I want to help you get clarity. I know everyone has their own questions and own situations and circumstances that are unique. So I'm only going to do this for a very specific set of people. If you're not absolutely committed to your student's success and their future, this is not a good fit. You also must have a dedicated student, not someone who is going to require an arm and a leg and hair pulling to get them motivated. And really, both parties need to avoid excuses, complaints, blaming. Yes, there are hard things we go through. Yes, there are circumstances that are rough beyond our control. But I will only work with the people and take calls with the people who bias themselves toward wanting and desiring to make progress. I want to make progress. I want to change my life. I understand there are setbacks, but I want to work with the people who have the optimism to break through those things rather than give up at the first sign of hardship. Why? Why am I doing this? Why am I jumping on calls? Why am I trying to help people? Well, I want to help you and your student get total clarity about what you want and what they want in their future, in their life, and give you the exact steps I believe they need to take to help them achieve their goals. And if you want me to help your child, on a more high-level basis, I'll say, I first don't accept everyone that I talk to into my custom program. But if I do think you are a good fit and you do want help, I may invite you to become one of the new clients I'll take on this month. Again, I don't have that much room, and I really want to make sure I get great results for the people I work with. So my philosophy is work with fewer, get better results. I hope that resonates, because the career counseling approach. If your student goes to a college, do you realize that there's 1,000 students for every one counselor? That's an average, but if it's high school, it may be a few hundred students for every one. But these counselors, they have so many other responsibilities. How much time do you think they can really put into helping your student launch into an amazing life, to launch into self-reliance, to avoid the mistakes that will cost them thousands of dollars, years of their life, and potentially lead to being an indentured servant to student loans? It's a grim situation. I put together the pieces so that they can use the best of what's available in traditional sources of guidance like college, but with the added benefits of private programs, of self-guided learning strategies. Because without that, they're going to be very ill-equipped. They're going to be back at home. You're going to be wondering what you can do to help them bridge that gap. Don't wait. So I'll put them through, the same program I put all my highest performers through. It's a very detailed curriculum designed to help your student land their dream job and become self-reliant. And I'll expect you and your student to dive in head first, to get actionable results within the first week of you getting in there. If I see you're not taking action, we'll have a candid conversation. We'll wish you well, give you some resources that I think will be helpful, for your own. But I really only have time to work with those who are serious about their students and their students' futures. If you want in on this, that call that I mentioned where we can get you clear and get you the exact steps for your student situation. Obviously I only have a limited amount of time. I have lots I have to do with my own schedule, my own life. I have a family and kids I want to play with as well. But email me, andyknilson@gmail.com. We can set up a time to meet that works for both of us, probably in the evening, for 30 minutes, give or take. And feel free to join our free Facebook community as well. There's a link. That will be a group of like-minded people that you can bounce ideas back and forth off of. But again, only have time for about 8 slots for conversation. So if you want those step-by-step exact strategies and guidance on what you and your child can specifically do for your own kid, let's jump on a call. Let's see if if we can do anything to help, to give you guidance, and potentially work together in the future on a more time intensive basis. But I appreciate your time. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been valuable to you. I really hope you'll embrace the principles and take action on them and help your students launch into lives that will really make them happy and make the world a better place.